Doing well today, Neil. How about you?
Fantastic. And our topic today, we're going to discuss inflation and some other things and regarding taxes for individuals. How are you, Alan? We're doing great. We're going to go right into it. Alan,
Okay.
can you explain why inflation is such a hidden danger to retirement savings and how do people typically recommend your clients combat this?
Well, Neil, number one, I call inflation a stealth tax. Inflation silently erodes the purchasing power of your savings, meaning your retirement dollars will buy less every year. And to combat this, I recommend clients incorporate inflation protected investments like indexed annuities properly structured, certain types of life insurance, such as cash value life insurance, which is indexed universal life or whole life, and diversified portfolios designed specifically to outpace inflation for long term.
Okay. What are the most overlooked tax implications retirees face, and how can the listeners proactively address these tax risks?
You know, I I talk to people about this all the time. One overlooked tax implication is a future tax burden from traditional retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs. Neil, I ask people, I said, why do you give your 401k or IRA? Well, it's a tax deduction. I said, no, it's a tax compounder. It's like writing a check to somebody and they'll say, we'll get this back, but in the later years, we're going to tell you what interest rate you're going to have to pay on that. Would you sign that check? Absolutely not. And, what here people don't understand, withdrawals are taxed as ordinary income. It's not capital gains tax. They're often at higher rates than anticipated. We got a $36 trillion deficit. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, President Trump's doing anything he can, but something's got to change. I suggest proactive solutions like Roth conversions, cash value life insurance, especially, and strategic distributions to minimize tax exposure in retirement.
Healthcare healthcare costs continue to skyrocket. Can you share some specific strategies retirees can use to drastically lower their healthcare expenses?
Well, Neil, I'm very involved in this right now. I just did a webinar on healthcare costs. Do you realize the big people out there, United Healthcare, Aetna, Cigna, um, some other ones, and their uh, prescription managers like I think it's Caremark, Express Scripts, ever, they are overcharging individuals and companies 20 to 40%. And there's a federal lawsuit now against these companies for billions upon billions of dollars. I have a healthcare plan that will save probably 20 to 30% over what you're paying right now. And the problem with this is the PBMs, the pharmacy benefit managers, that basically tell you where to get your drugs and everything. You can go to one pharmacy and get a drug for $25 deductible. Another one, it's $80 deductible. It's the very same drug, but they take all these discounts and rebates and they keep them from themselves. And there's lots of stuff that's going on. But I mean, I've got a health and wellness program that will save the employer $500 to $700 a month in FICA taxes. It also, employees with this preventive health and wellness program have a higher an 8% higher production rate. So the owner is going to make more money and a 7% higher retention rate. So what this does, it doesn't eliminate it, but it provides more income through saved FICA taxes, the increased production, and now he has less problems worrying about recruitment and retention of qualified individuals. And this is at no net cost to the employer and no net cost to the employee. And it's all tax code approved. It's been around for 25 years or 20 years. And my company's been doing it for over 10 years. The other thing I suggest proactive solutions like Roth conversions to help pay for things because it's tax free. But people need to enroll in these preventive wellness programs, set up a health savings account if eligible. But choosing these plans can eliminate or reduce out-of-pocket expenses significantly. And another thing with this healthcare plan, Neil, not the healthcare plan, but the preventive health
Wellness. Yeah.
program, we've got prescriptions, 1,100 prescriptions that are zero copay. Neil, that will reduce healthcare costs by 40%.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't affect the prescription plan you have with your healthcare plan. This is an entirely fantastic benefit that promotes tax savings for the employer, increased production. But there's so many other benefits with this preventive healthcare and wellness program. And we discussed this before, and we'll discuss this again.
How often talk about creating a tax-free retirement? Can you break down exactly what that means and how someone listening today could start planning for that immediately?
Well, that's one of my main themes. Let me show you how to create a tax-free retirement. I do in my company, I show people how to reduce and possibly eliminate both debt and taxes, possibly set them up with a tax-free retirement. And that's absolutely huge. But it's done through different financial strategies that I know and incorporate. But, you know, a tax-free income streams from things that aren't taxed, like an IRA, a 401k. And, you know, the implications, the safety, I mean, the protection, like I said before, cash value life insurance grows tax deferred. You get your distributions tax-free and does not affect the taxation of Social Security or the means testing for Medicare Part B. You're protected from lawsuits, liens, and judgments. It's the greatest wealth transfer vehicle available. It's the greatest college funding vehicle available. You become your own bank, borrowing from yourself, paying yourself back, compounding interest for you and not the financial institutions, and eliminating the effective interest costs you pay on the money you borrow. And 99% of the people don't even know it. They've got a 2.75 interest rate on their mortgage, but that's not really the truth. You know, in the first year, it's probably around 47, 49%, because it's not going to get down to that 2.75 until the last couple of months of the mortgage. But there's so many things out there that you can do to save yourself taxes in the future and now.
All right. Alan, what common mistakes do you see people making when planning their retirement income, and how do you help your clients avoid these pitfalls?
Well, number one, most common mistakes including relying solely on market-based accounts and solely with people that have been with you for 30 or 40 years, using the same financial strategies. It's like Wall Street. The only way to save for your retirement is a stock portfolio or 401k. That's the most outdated advice I've ever heard. But understand this. They ignore the tax implications and the underestimating of longevity risk, which is a huge risk in retirement, because the longer you live, Neil, the more risk you have. And they don't tell, these fee-based advisors don't tell their clients about any of these risks in retirement that I've heard from over 100 clients, and some of them are multimillionaires, especially sequence returns risk. We've gone over this many times. But the number one fear in retirement is running out of money before you run out of life. And more people fear living in poverty than they do dying, Neil.
All right, totally.
What I help clients avoid these pitfalls by structuring guaranteed income sources, tax-free vehicles, and comprehensive long-term care plans to ensure their retirement savings last a lifetime. And most portfolios, they say, well, we're guaranteed for 30 years. Well, I plan all my retirements to go to 100, age 120.
Okay. How do market volatility and economic uncertainty affect retirement planning? You talked about this already in part of the podcast. And what proactive measures do you suggest for those nearing retirement?
Well, market volatility can devastate retirement plans by reducing the value of savings at critical times. Like I said, sequence return risk. But Neil, people don't understand. If you have a 50% loss in the market, it takes you 100% gain just to get back to even. They don't understand the difference between rate of return and actual rate of return. I'm going to give you a quick Reader's Digest version. You got $100,000 in an account. It grows by 100%. It's worth $200,000. The next year, you have a 50% loss. You're back down to 100,000. The next year, you have a 100% gain. You're back to 200,000. And the fourth year, you have a 50% loss. You are back to 100,000. Now, Neil, the average return is 25%, but your actual return is zero. You can't rely on the stock market to secure your retirement. And that's what the one thing with cash value life insurance, properly structured index and whole life policies, and fixed indexed annuities, we don't have to worry about the market. We eliminate that risk because we don't use the market to grow our money. We use indexing strategies such as the Barclays Dynamic Balance Index, the Euro Index. I mean, there's 175 different ones out there. Each insurance company has their own.
How many retirees worry they'll outlive their savings? We talked about that as well. What types of investment vehicles or income streams do you typically recommend to provide stable income throughout retirement?
Well, I think probably 60 to 70% of people out there, um, the number one fear of retirement is running out of money before you run out of life. And just like I've said before, I recommend you've got to have guaranteed income just to pay for the basics of life. And a stock portfolio is not going to give you guaranteed income. CDs are not going to give you guaranteed income. Real estate is not going to give you guaranteed income because it can also, it can make you great income, but it can also cost you a lot of money. Money market funds, they can't give you guaranteed income. Cash value life insurance, when properly structured, can. Fixed indexed annuities can. And see the thing also, you remember me telling you about this? You got $1 million in stock portfolio, got a 4% distribution rate. That's $40,000 a year, but that's not guaranteed. That's at age 65. Out of that $1 million stock portfolio, you would only need approximately $650,000 of that put into a certain fixed indexed annuity that will give you the same $40,000 a year guaranteed for the rest of your life. And when the indexing strategies go up, you have an increasing income. And I don't care if that annuity runs out of money while you're 85, 90. If you live to 100, the insurance company still has to pay you that money, guaranteed increasing. And if you put your spouse on there, it's 0.5% less. There's no stock portfolio can do that. Think about this, Neil. You're getting an increasing income on a depleting asset. It's one of the greatest financial vehicles out there when it comes to retirement. But people don't understand it. These fee-based advisors tell them that annuities are too complicated. No, they're not. They're very simple if properly explained.
Can you describe your approach to holistic retirement planning and how integrating strategies for inflation protection, tax reduction, and health savings into a cohesive plan?
Well, my holistic approach focuses on comprehensive, coordinating planning. You've got to have a plan. It integrates tax efficient strategies. That's my big thing. Inflation protected investments, and advanced healthcare planning. Do you realize, Neil, couples at 65 are going to spend over $315,000 on healthcare during their retirement? But other things like combining Roth conversions, life insurance when properly structured, fixed indexed annuities, not variable annuities. Variable annuities are tied to the market, and their fees are over 4.5%. Health savings account, which is a great vehicle. And the huge one to me is preventative wellness programs. And I've got a great one I offer. I create customized retirement plans that address all critical risk simultaneously.
With future tax hikes anticipated, which have been talking about by many economists, how crucial is for retirees to diversify the tax status of their investment accounts, and what does that look like practically?
Well, diversifying your tax status is a critical because relying exclusively on tax deferred accounts leaves you very vulnerable to future tax increases. Like I said, we have a $36 trillion deficit, and our real deficit is around $219 trillion. Practically, this means balancing your portfolio with taxable, tax deferred, and tax free accounts like Roth IRAs and properly constructed life insurance. But I spoke at Harvard about this. You've got to have control of your assets, liquidity, use control of your assets. And I told them I can show you because you like my products, you like my speech so far. But I want you, and I challenge you to take control of your financial assets, to have liquidity, use control. And we can set you up with a tax-free retirement if possible. But one thing about it, you'll have guaranteed income for you and your family for the rest of your life.
All right. Best place to go is go to strategicwealthstrategies.com or email you at strategicwealth, 0 @gmail.com, or call you at 910-551-1046. Your line is open and you give a free, and it's a free evaluation. You'll work through it and you're the man. Appreciate it, Alan.
You bet. And Neil, I don't charge my services, like you said, I'm free. What I want to do is I want to educate people on the financial strategies the wealthy and the banks have been using for years. I'm very passionate about this. I want to teach people to think outside the box of conventional financial planning.
All right.